Coal miners and cars. Yeah. Have you heard coal miners and Teslas at the moment?
No.
So there's a young fella, Daniel Bleakley, who's also a mechanical engineer. He's been quite the activist now for about 20 years in Victoria, and he too has the same car as me. It's a Model 3 Performance, and quite funnily enough, he took it up to his homeland up in Mackay and went to his mates at Denali coal mine. Denali, is it Denali? I can't remember. And took it for a few spins and got a few reaction videos, and of course it's taken off quite well in taking the coal miners. The coal miners have actually taken it for drives, and of course the performance of them far outweighs any V8 on the road. And
he took Bob Carter for a run too.
yeah, I think he took Bob Carter, and he had a ball. And he's taken a lot of ministers and stuff, and I guess that's where we got the idea from too, to be honest.
I think it's good to do.
Yeah. You guys, you got to.
I need to get the other elected members out here, and
I said last election I should have done it too.
We'd have a few more,
a bit more people switched on.
A few more plug-in points.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we're working on it.
Now, sorry, you're going to go left here, aren't we? You're going to go around to Big Four.
Well, you can go where you like. I can walk from here.
Nah, yeah, we'll get you in there. We'll get you in there. At least get you to the gate.
To the door. To the gate at least.
I don't think they let us in. Yeah, they let us in. But... So, and we had a lovely meal at the brewery last night. Jeez, they're good.
Great.
I recommend the Steve-O pizza. If you have it's a bit of off the menu type item, the old Steve-O.
So what's in Steve-O?
Well, a little bit more chilly than usual. It's basically a Supreme that's got a bit of
bit of kick,
a bit of beer drinking persuasion in it. Let's say that. Yeah. You might have to go down and through. Yeah, this is all there. This is the lineup to get in. Look at them all. This is our tourists in town. You probably just want to hang a Yui here and
do a Yui.
just watch out. Some
You're
more
going to go in,
out.
so you have to turn it around.
Yeah, you should be able to get around in there. It's got a pretty good turn circle, this thing. And it's four-wheel drive, so it doesn't mind getting dirty.
Very good.
Great.
I might love you and leave.
Okay, buddy.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, same here.
And,
Yeah. So we'll be always in contact anyway. But
I'll just give you.
Yeah, grab my card.
Yeah, great.
If there's figures and stuff
I
that
wear two hats. One is the Ava one, and the other one is the Electric Highway, which is the charge network that we run. So we're happy to discuss technical issues and just talk about our experience, give you statistics, anything like that, if it's helpful.
Great. We've been talking about an electric superhighway.
Yeah.
All right.
This is really
HVDC line.
Yeah. Well, tap into Singapore's line, which would be nice.
Yeah.
I guess we're not in neutral, right?
Yeah, that's right. Just hit the park on the end. No, the button on the end. Yep, just hit that. That'll just puts the handbrake on.
Well, it's right, because you were in drive.
Yeah. It's being safe. It's dangerous. Yeah. So you could have killed him, but the car didn't. Yeah, no, look at that.
Anyway, have a good
Thank you.
fun.
We might catch you tonight. Are you going to go back over to the brewery tonight?
I'll have to speak to the boss. We're going to try and get out too.
So yeah, Clive's a classic. He's really running the old schools. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, these guys are busy. Look at them. It's good. It's good. Not a bad problem to have. So what we might do is, I know time's probably. But you haven't got a meeting, or you okay? You just want to get back to the kids.
I'm just going to go see the fam.
Good on you. Well, you can tell them you've been cruising around in a Tesla.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they will, especially the kids, because they're onto it, man. They know. Go this way. Go left.
Yeah,
because you're going to get this one.
wrong one.
That's right. Now it's well worth just coming out in the highway here, and we might just do a quick 0 to 100 because you really need to feel that. Actually, we'll go straight ahead. We'll go down Ross Highway. It's usually a bit clearer down there. You know Mal Crowley?
Yep.
Yeah, he's not been in a good way lately. He's had a bit of a chest infection, had a bit of a trip to hospital, and he's back home now, but yeah, he's not been well, unfortunately, old fella.
That's so good.
No, because he lost his wife 12 months ago. So
went on a road trip.
Yeah, he got away with it, and the bloody truck blew up, and the full bugger. So he's still waiting to get that back. He wants to go again, but he's just waiting for it to get fixed. I think electric's caught on fire, ironically enough, in a diesel. Yeah, there's a bit of traffic on this road. What we might do is go down. You got a car behind you now, so Yeah, all right, just pull up and let this bit of traffic go. Because it's a nice bit of straight road and no one's going to jump out in front of us, hopefully, too much. And so what this one is, this is the performance one. So fairly quick, but it's good to know that you're in control of how quick you want to go. So I'm going to have to give him a bit of space. But just roll back onto the bitumen so you're ready to go. There you go. So yeah, I reckon we'll be about ready to rock and roll whenever you want to make a hold to the floor, and I'll tell you when you get to 100. Go hard. That's 100 now. That wasn't hard. You didn't go hard then, did you?
No, that was...
Yeah. So you can plonk. So bring it back to about 60, and yeah, it pulls back quick, doesn't it? Yeah. Hold it there. Yeah, just tromp it. Watch this red cup. It's just brutal. I think the word is brutal.
You feel like the G-force.
You're pulling about 1.5 Gs back. The new Model S that's just released, which is what they call the Plaid, that's 0 to 100 in 2 seconds. This was 3.5. It's kind of relentless.
Incredible.
It's a bit addictive. You know?
Yeah.
Gets the old adrenaline gland.
Just going up down the highway.
just slowing down. It's been nuts. And the good thing about slowing down is you're recuperating probably 50-60% of that energy you just used.
It's recharges on the brakes.
That's your recharge. And your little car does it to an extent.
Yeah.
In fact, it has to do it to actually recharge your battery in your Corolla. But this is, you can feel the pullback on this one for sure. But yeah, okay, we've got a car coming, but he'll get out the way pretty quickly. I mean, if it was me, I'd probably beat him. But, you don't know the car very well, so that's fair enough. I actually make sure Trudy drives this car mostly, because I will lose my licence. You beat him if you want to. Yep, there you go, he's going slow. So yeah, just when you're ready, go again. And, people are worried about, bucking up your weekend and stuff like that. We just had Josh, we did a little mosey down to the drag strip, and we did what we just did then.
Yeah, awesome.
So, the Minister, the Shadow Minister of Environment, I think, has picked up the fact that we won't be losing our standard of living by going electric.
Well, I think that was a great thing that Craig Newcastle did too with he did that Save the Planet. It was like a climate change thing, and he took these guys out in Sydney who were at drag strips, put him in a Tesla, and it flogged them. Yeah, with and
the
they couldn't believe it. They were just like, what?
So that was the fastest production car, that Model S. They called him a P100D, and now Elon's now released what they call the Plaid version. So I don't know if you ever got the gist of Ludacris, Plaid and all that. It was actually based off the movie called Spaceballs. Have you ever seen the movie called Spaceballs?
I've heard.
Please watch it. It's got Rick Manaris in it, and it's got it's a funny show. But he's basically got all these terms from the movie Spaceballs, which is very American, as you can imagine, but bloody stupidly funny. And that's where he's got this. So the latest model, the Plaid, it's 0 to 100 in less than 2 seconds.
Yeah, wow.
Standing quarter mile is 9.2 seconds, which they just did with Jay Leno the other day. And so that now is the fastest production car over the top of what's it called, the W12 of the I can't remember the name, but now I'll fill that in. But not the Ducati, it's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, so now it is again the fastest production car on the thing, but also at the 5-star rating, they're one of the safest. In fact, every 5-star rating has a different level on each star, and out of all those levels, from both European and the testing, and even in Australia in a sense, but the European and American testing, the first 4 cars out of all of them are all Teslas. So now I'm not here to bash onto Tesla. It's also an EV thing, because we have a sneak up there, I reckon. Good stuff. And of course, you can easily catch up to these guys when you're ready, because you've got your own lane. So very controllable now. You're not feeling apprehensive at all.
No.
It's comfortable to
I think
drive.
once you get the feel for the squeeze.
Yep. Yeah. That's the acceleration is a bit tricky. I could actually program it to be like a normal car, but
No, it's
I actually like that.
the realness of
The one pedal driving is definitely a feature. It's like I don't even need to take my foot off to put the brakes on. Now the brakes are there. If you had to emergency brake here, you're going to squeeze those brakes pretty hard, and they're ready. They're nice and cold to use. Beautiful. They'll be ready to go. But in reality, every time you pull up, you're on autopilot now. Your blue lines have come up, and you've got the blue line there. It sees the truck in front of you. It even sees the arrows. See there. Yeah. So very shortly they'll be releasing the full self-driving, which that's the Tesla way of actually two hands. You're right. The hardest thing is it'll nag at you, obviously, for not touching the wheel. But ding dong, it's come out now. The trick is to try and just have enough weight on there so it doesn't come out, but not too much weight.
But it's like
you get used to it.
It's cruise control.
Yeah.
Just to the next level.
It is, yeah. They call it ADAS is actually an acronym. It's Advanced Driver Assisted System or something like that. Got a similar, which a lot of vehicles have now.
The Corolla's got a similar one where you
like a lane keep.
Got a lane keep where if you sort of go over, it'll go beep beep beep, but it'll just gently kind of
pull you back. Yeah.
Pull you over.
And this has actually got that as standard. It's just the autopilot just makes it more pronounced. But this will tell you off for crossing lanes and stuff like that too. And so the advanced safety on them is just second to none, and that's where people are really getting miscommunicated, especially in the mainstream media, of the problems with these cars, which are really minor. I mean, every time you see a Tesla fire, it's on mainstream media, but in America they have 400 vehicle fires a day. And one Tesla fire every 6 months gets into the media, and the 400 vehicles that don't. And why is that so? You got to ask yourself what is going on here.
Fossil fuel industry, knows, but
they're all full of highly flammable liquids, and they certainly catch on fires. And you see all the recalls. Classic lately was a recall in Japan for these cars. It wasn't actually a recall; it was just an over-the-air software update. In fact, it was the way you double tap that thing. I think they just wanted it a different way in China, sorry. And so they just did it over there, but of course the media presented, they're all the 135,000 car recall. Well, it wasn't. It was just an outright lie. So go figure why they want to go down this track with this stuff. But as you can see, we definitely want to do it. But like I think Clive said, it's more about how we can use these cars in conjunction with energy. These are basically big battery bank on wheels. If you look at these cars, they're 4 or 5 Powerwalls that you could put in a house that you don't need to because you've got it in the car. Your car spends 95% of its time in a car park. It could be charging during the day during solar, obviously a bit more at the workplace. You could even be cheeky enough to be charging at the workplace and then running your house off at night time. Just saying. If you sell excess solar at the workplace.
I look forward to that day when we've actually got, when we've got the future grid. The grid that we actually want. That's got the, batteries at the local and neighbourhood level. The cars can, we can both be buying and selling electricity at any one time.
Instantaneously. Back before the bushfires last year or the year before, Sydney was actually having those big blackout problems as well. I don't know if you remember. It was sort of dived with the bushfires, of course, but there was big blackout problems. At one stage there, the bidding on the grid was $1,500 for a kilowatt hour. $1,500, and we pay 3 cents at the moment, right? They wanted, if you had a battery at that time and you could sell it, you would pay for that battery in a couple of hours. Maybe 4 or 5 hours or over a few days. So there's absolutely an economical reason for doing this well. And unfortunately,
change that tariff. Like the tariff system needs to change that it enables.
So are you jumping on to the just speaking of the Cholum thing and the future grid thing? Are you going to jump back onto the board with those two, or
my main focus?
Go on.
My main focus for the next 6 weeks. 6-7 weeks. I'm running for mayor. So that's my focus. Is going to be.
And one of the reasons I brought you along because I really want you to. What we could do from a council point of view is we could have every street light with a power point on it. but a chargeable power point. Like we can have, I mean, there's infrastructure there in those streetlights already. We could have slow to medium AC charging, so someone can come and park and trickle charge while they go shopping. We could be the first town in Australia that has that on every street lamp.
Well, that's what I was saying.
It's not hard. It's really easy, and they actually make them for the street lamps.
The streetlights that currently are owned by Power and Water.
So I didn't know whether it's council owned or not. That's always
that's Power and Water owned.
Okay.
There have been. There's an opportunity there. And
don't you guys pay rent on them though?
We pay the power. It's a complicated relationship.
Yep.
But
this one. It's very, yeah. That's the only downside of it. Oh, we'll go that way. And we'll go that way. Yeah, you got look, and when you're not chopping and changing cars, it's very easy to get used to it. It's typical European. But yeah, so you're paying for just the rent, and then they keep the upkeep.
And I think make some contribution.
Look, and as I said, I'm just spitballing here, but that's one of the things we can do. So one of the things I want to do as a private business is get everyone educated for a start. I've already got a charge station at my shop already, as you know. It's again, the locals don't necessarily use it. It's the people coming into town, and it's the tourists that will use it more than anyone. And I'm probably my own best customer, of course, because all my fleet is electric now. So we're probably one of the first businesses in the Northern Territory that has a full electric fleet.
Awesome.
Luckily, it's not a big fleet; it's only 2, but we can wave that flag. It all makes sense. We use them day to day. We just went past my other car there that's got a trailer sitting on the back of it. It's got all my tools in it. It's my work car. But can't wait till the Rivian comes. Can't wait for a proper truck to come, or the Cybertruck. And we're looking right-hand drive model, probably realistically 2 years, but the left-hand drive model will be out this year. There you go. You got your green light.
It's just like with anything, we've just got to be ready.
Correct.
For the future. And if we're sitting there looking backwards. And running backwards at the same time, then we're not going to get anywhere. Whereas the future is electric and renewably electric. We've got to get with the program.
Well, the good thing about electric is we can put any fuel to it. Whereas if we have a diesel or a petrol car, we can only put diesel or petrol in it. We haven't got a choice. So, and that's the great thing about the electric vehicles at the moment. I can go down the highway and charge off diesel. It's not so clean. It's still cleaner. Great, exactly right. So at the moment, it can transition while we transition to renewables. So that's why the vehicles are fantastic to go that way. And that's why I suggest, even with the hybrids, actually, if you go stick your nose that way and park back into there, I can actually chuck it back on charge. See if you can get that end one. Now, when you put it up, you're going to get 3 cameras come up here. 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
So we're going to go see you can get the line. So we'll go for that right-hand lane, if you can. So go back at that. Yep. And then as you swing around, you'll get those lines lined up. Go a bit more. With me now, see how they turn. And then as you swing your front around, try not to run the guy over with the stick. You got miles, mate. And these are actually your side mirrors, believe it or not. So you can see if anyone's up the side as well. What he's doing there, he's probably pinching my PowerPoint. What's he doing there? He's charging his phone. Why not? It's there to use.
Mate, look, I really appreciate that.
Look,
I just think the more people who get an opportunity to, it's all about demystifying. I think people
look, and most people say, look, it's just a car, and it is just a car. That's perfect. Yeah, we're good to go.
Great.
So just hit the button. Perfect. That park button, you hear that little, that's the actual electric park brake. So it does actually park and properly lock the car. Because there is no park gear. It's only one gear in this, and there's a diff. So it has 2 motors. There's one in the front, one in the back. It sits on top of a diff, right? And the diff has oil in it. It's silicon oil. It can last the life of the car. It never has to be changed. A lot of more modern cars will have a motor on each wheel. But there is, technically Tesla don't care if you service it or not. It doesn't void your warranty or anything. The only servicing that needs it, there's a little water bottle there for your sprayers. Sometimes that needs it. And there's a filter there for your cabin filter, and that's really the service. And like I think there's your brakes might be, if you're in a snowy condition, I think we said this before, the brakes do get clogged up with a bit of salt and stuff, but in this dry conditions, I don't even touch my brakes, and they don't physically get used. So most of the time, it's only if you really had to do an emergency brake when you have to use them. So they do last the life of the vehicle. So it's about the holistic or the total cost of ownership. not just the price of the car. And I think most fleet buyers would consider that. And that's where
into government, and
we need to get more fleets.
For us at council,
now,
I think I see there's a bit of a movement with the hybrids, like seeing like places like
I can
Congress
see that.
And getting the.
But you know what?
But,
we could bunny hop that.
Totally.
We could really bunny hop, and it's a bit like I think probably for India is a good example. They're going to go full solar now instead of go for coal and those sort of power plants, because and it's the same way. A lot of the guys have gone straight to mobile phones and not having normal thing. They've jumped that bit of technology and jumped into the better technology straight away. And I think, and I'm pretty sure we're at that right now. Yep, sure, I'm a first adopter. I've spent a lot of money on this car. Thankfully, my business is supporting it, and I'm using the business to support that jump. But then that allows me, like this, I can show people how good they are.
That's great.
We're not losing our standard of living, but we do have these things in Australia. 70 to 80, it's about 70% of people always buy second-hand vehicles. So we do need that government support to buy the fleets and create that second-hand market. That's really the best way I think we're going to get people into them. That's still going to be 2 or 3 years off, because that's the turnover of any government vehicle is 2 to 3 years.
I'm just taking away that confusion and demystifying it. That's a
Correct.
big thing.
Correct, yeah.
For government, and it's great. Thanks.
So no, that's good. And look, Damien's been on the car. I want to both. It's all levels of government that we need to make sure people is. I'd love to get ScoMo in the car as well one day. That'd be my ultimate. But he'll be in denial anyway. It doesn't really matter.
Well, I think it's just important to get more people out there so that they can relate to it and understand it and see that it actually is the future.
Yeah. And you're not lowering your standard of living by going this way. In fact, you're improving it.
Definitely not.
Think of all the people that don't have to go to hospital for smoke inhalation from diesel particulates. Think of the cancer rates that are going to drop. I mean, there's the big pictures. People say, okay, but you're just moving the exhaust pipe over to the coal thing. Yeah, but now we can change the coal generators. Now we can change those generators into solar and have this big passive utility being the batteries in the car, storing it up.
And we have an integrated grid that's being made to accommodate, and people can be both prosumers. They can both produce electricity and consume it.
Sharing the charging at night time. These things all have timers in them. The Teslas actually have, because they're 4G connected, they can be externally controlled when they're charged. From an app or from whatever.
Yeah, great.
And from as much as the power stations. And now, think of this one. So in the UK at the moment, they're really going well in the UK, changing over. There's a mob called Octopus Energy, who it's basically a wholesaler, but they go to their retailers, and they'll turn around and think, because they've got so much wind there, for instance, it costs money to shut down a wind generator. But instead of shutting down the wind generator, if their grid says, it's going to be a surplus in a minute, they'll quickly text all their customers and say, hey, look, for the next hour, we're going to pay you to use energy.
That's awesome.
Because it's cheaper than to shut off the wind generator.
That's great.
And so all these guys are going to put their electric cars on and stuff like that. So they're loading up the grid. And you could do this automatically too. You don't actually need to do it. But it's great that the customer gets involved. And most of these customers now, Octopus Energy does exist in Australia as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's on the main grid. We're not on the main grid here. But it doesn't mean we can't adopt that type of mentality where we're being active. Like you said, we could be trading energy backwards and forwards. It's definitely a commodity that now needs to be. It's almost pro-privatisation, in that that whereas a few years ago, and I went through the Telstra privatisation and stuff like that, everyone was against it, but now it's almost a good thing to do it, as long as people want to be involved.
I think the main thing with anything like this, just with that transition, there's going to be those who can afford it and those that can't. We just need to make sure.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm talking about.
People with us, and that means
we need to get those fleet cars going. We need to get the big guys going, and it's both. It's not just government. It's business as well.
Yeah.
So where the subsidies and stuff like that could come into is mainly more towards business. Get them on the roll too. So they've got, because they're going to turn their vehicles over every 2 years. This vehicle could last for 20 years quite easily. The battery certainly will, and even as a second life for the battery, it's going to be a Powerwall anyway. And then even then, after the full recycling of these batteries, they can recycle right now they can recycle 92%. In 5 to 10 years, it'll be 100% of these batteries into more batteries. So they're not. The technology exists now. They're not worried about having it to go straight to landfill. And that's what the thing is with Australia. We actually have this capability. Just no one's doing anything about it. The government's not driving it. They're driving coal.
Yeah.
The federal government.
Well, that's looking at the wrong
state
way.
governments. The state governments has totally flipped. Like that's why I've taken the 2 Liberal guys out this morning, as well, because national Liberals are nutbags, but the state Liberals are all onto it. South Australia's all over it. These guys would be all over it if they were in power. Our guys. And this is what I don't get. It's just it's the politics of it does my mind, and that's where I like you getting involved because you're into that game. I just want to make sure the thing gets designed and put in properly. That's what I do. I'm an engineer, right? And I dream this stuff every night. I come up with new ideas. However, we need a cash cow. We need the money man. We need someone to say, yep, now it's time to do it.
Yeah.
None of these trials anymore, and that's why I kind of hate the trials, is that we do have the technology to do it.
Well, we know
do
what to
see
do.
people. We know what to do. We know what to
Exactly.
do.
We know what to do. We just need to.
Why are we still doing trials in a way?
Yeah,
But hello. Someone needs to be proven again. And why are we even discussing climate change? Like that's the stupid part about it.
Yeah.
It was done and dusted in the 80s. Thatcher and all those guys. They knew it had to be done. It's just been stalled again. I won't call this a conspiracy theory right yet, but you know where we're going there.
Yeah. No,
and that's why you're in the game, I would suggest, wouldn't it?
Well,
that's one of the reasons you came in.
One of the big issues that climate is a big issue, and I think that the main thing is being ready for it. And that means looking for ways in which we can reduce our emissions and what are the ways that we can be smart, like EVs and smart grids and all that. Like we don't need to be burning fossil fuels to be doing that. But the other thing is we also got to be ready. We've got to be ready for the technological changes and breakthroughs that are going to be coming through. We also need to be ready for the climate breakthroughs, looking at what's happening in the US and Canada at the moment with 48 degrees.
Right.
Like,
they're having what we had last year.
Yeah, and if we end up having 50 degree summers, we've got to be ready for that. And that means having a grid that's going to be able to handle that. It means having shade, it means adapting. And adaptation.
And catch-22 is we're going to be using more air conditioners, which uses more power, which uses more fossil fuels. This is where we got to be so careful. We could be spiraling down really quick if we're not careful because of the heat change, because of that weather phenomenon.
Well, EVs I think
anyway,
building grids so that we can integrate EVs into it is.
And I think we're in a real good situation here. I mean, it's great. That's why I got Clive on board. He's doing exactly what we need to do, and not just testing it. They've just done it. They've been testing it for ages. Let's get into it. So that's a really big key, and all we need to do is follow suit.
Yeah, we just need to get more. We just need to get more. A climate action plan that says that we should do more. I think that and also with our fleet of council as well. Pretty much anything that's our in-town fleet, we should be looking to roll into this. Getting more solar on car parks, getting more batteries, and getting more charging stations, and it'll come. Let's just get the budget, and make it happen. That's all. We've got the experience. This is one of the most technological towns in Australia, right? We've got so many technical people here. Obviously for the space base and all that sort of thing, they all can pitch in. We just need the budget. We just need to get the equipment here. I'm already ordering fast stations on my behalf. I want to try and get. I've already basically got a DC charger here and now. It's just a portable one. It was kind of cheap at the time, but we have one and it's fast to make any electric car charge at about 100 kilometers an hour. We need to make them charge at 1,000 kilometers an hour. That's where and that's the whole highway. In a perfect world, it takes time and money to get there. So, but what I want to prove is we're just about to have 30 kilowatts going to the shop here. I want to have batteries in here, and I want to make it a litmus test to anyone that comes here with an electric vehicle. We can charge fast, and we can replicate this anywhere along the highway. Solar battery charger, and that solar battery system can integrate into that local grid, wherever it is, any roadhouse, to be part of that local grid as well. And sure, it's going to be probably $500,000 a site. I will kid you not. But there's power purchase agreement, guys. There's superannuation money they're prepared to put into it. But as Clive said, it'd be nice if the government put their little 2 bits into it as well, and that would make it easier to say for those people to say yes, let's do it. The average roadhouse at the moment, $100,000 a year they spend on diesel, just diesel, and then you've got maintenance on that diesel, and that could be up to 10 or 15 grand a year. Now,
okay, a $500,000 solar system, maybe $250,000 if it's a small one. That's only a 2, 3, 5 year payback. It's not much. It really isn't much. And most guys, I think, would be tempted to do it. However, the government turn around and say, hey, what if I give you an interest-free loan? Oh, yeah, I'll be in that. That's where it needs that little bit of confidence. That, you talk about confidence was probably the right word, to just back it up and go, okay, guys, let's...
We've got to get with the program.
Yes.
Get with the program. EVs are coming.
The worst case is we could be the second territory that could be on the... Unfortunately, the first territory's already done their bit.
And it's big, and we've got a big area. But
We do. And we have particular challenges. The Nullarbor is much the same as us. You know, the Nullarbor between Western Australia and that, they're going to have the same issues.
But in the same way, we've got different grids. You know, so Darwin can do their stuff. Alice could do our... You know, we're a solar city.
Yeah. We should be pushing on.
We should be moving forward.
Should be pushing way more than the quickness that we have. So really, that politics between power and water and TGen and that sort of stuff. That's where hopefully Future Grid's going to bring it out. Still, unfortunately, I can't say it's been successful so far.
Well, I think it's just taking.
If we get back on the board, and
I think the main thing is just getting. The breakup of power water, what was done 4 years ago, did a lot of damage. Where you end up with 3 different boards, 3 different agendas, all that. And so, the best thing that we can do is get around the table, start planning for the future together, and making sure that we're doing things not just in our own organisational interests, but in the interest of the community, with the knowledge of the future that we already know, which is climate's warming. We need to reduce emissions, and tech and EVs are already here. We just need to support them to integrate into the grid, and that's where the Future Grid currently is looking at household batteries. The Future Grid roadmap, I would expect, would have EVs as a part of it.
Funnily enough, it doesn't. But that's what I'm there for.
The roadmap hasn't been produced yet. The roadmap will actually be the product that comes at the end of the project.
Gotcha.
So
the project is to test it, but the product will be the final.
One of the key things will be, here's a roadmap for us for the Future Grid, which will be 50% by 2030, which is is ambitious in some ways, but also not ambitious.
Very
enough.
doable.
Very doable. We can do 50% in a canter, let's say.
Yeah.
So,
it's really not broken.
But
See
that, look, I'd better go, but thanks so much.
Thank you very much for driving my electric vehicle
Thanks
today.
for letting me drive your electric vehicle.
My pleasure. And hopefully, if you get anyone else that has any particular advice, so we say, please send them to me, and we can do the same thing with them, and just get them a bit of a taste. It's not easy to wrap up in a half an hour of what life is with an EV, but we've been living with them now. I mean, this one's actually the youngest one, and I've had this almost 2 years now.
It's great. It's
the other car we've had for 4 years, and we've actually it's been totally electric for 2 years now. We still go to Adelaide. It takes 2 days to get to Adelaide. It takes 2 days to get to Darwin, just like normal people. We rest. It actually forces you to have a rest, which is awesome. People just don't understand that we're already there. It's just like you said, people are going to be qualmed on price, but you know what? That's a couple of years, no one's going to know the difference. Exactly. Really won't. But
well, thanks for being a
thanks,
early
Jimmy.
adopter.
Yeah, and hopefully
thanks for leading the way.
No, well, it's more about let's get everyone else on the way too. And that's what we're about. And if we can show as many as we can.
You're leading by example, and that's
that's one thing
that's
too.
all you can ask from anyone.
Appreciate it.
So good on you.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Good on you.
Talk to you soon.